It's all just trickery and stuff. We're just working on the kinks out so we get everything working smoothly. That's
The
the idea.
magic of the electronic stuff, huh?
And automation is good when you do it the right way. Yes.
Can't live with it. Can't live without it.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Oh, we're
Hi.
here.
And we're WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast #1 Internet Singles Talk Network. This is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
We were talking before the show about now that we have, I think it's 130 maybe shows that we've done together, how super comfortable we are with each other, and we never run out of stuff to talk about, and our pacing's really comfortable. And I said, well, how do we tie that to dating? Well, gosh, if you've gone out 130 times and you're not comfortable with the person, that might not be your person, right?
Indeed. That's a clue.
I think it could be a clue. Yeah. Which really kind of ties back to the title today. So the title today is Dating to Attract a Real Person. So
a real relationship, yeah.
A real relationship. Oh, sorry. A real relationship.
A real person.
Just a real person who's being real. That's what I was thinking. How are they being real
in
a real relationship? I sort of jumped ahead because the first step, as we said often, is you have to be your real self.
Yeah.
If you bring your real self, and people go, oh, I'm always my real self. And that's really easy. And I'm like, So I've had 2 new clients this week who, in our initial conversation, we talked about something they could try. They'd already said they're going to work with me. So I gave them something to try before our first official call. Because both people have had the person back up for really valid reasons. Everybody's got their individual stuff. But since this is the person I'm talking to, I go, I see why they did that. And both people, now I've had my first conversation with them, said, I feel so much more relaxed. I was trying too hard. So that is a clue. If you feel that you have to try really hard to not be yourself, or to do things or not do things that's going to make the other person like you or not like you, there's nothing real happening in that room.
No. In fact, that's the thing that in some ways is not the only clarity, but it's one of the things where it goes, if I'm doing this, this is not the right place to be. And it does to come down to the choice point about if you're putting the effort into the relationship the right way, it's great. If you're putting the effort in the relationship the wrong way, it's not great. So the idea about having to keep putting on an act or pretend to be somebody you're not, the problem with that is that at some point in time, you're going to give that up. At some point in time, you're going to either get tired of it, get frustrated, or forget you're doing it. And suddenly they're going to see the real you. That could be an interesting moment.
Very much.
So it's better, I would suggest, and we'll talk about it more in detail, of course, as we go through the show, that you're authentically natural from the get-go, because first of all, it's the person you want to be with ultimately is going to want to see you that way. Secondly, though, it's way less work. There's no trying to put on an act to that's the whole point I talked about, I said, and I said this before on other shows, and we talked about this, about coffee dates before you do the first date. Because people go on the first date and they put on this suit of clothes, so to speak. I don't mean physically, I mean energetically or personality-wise. They put on this presentation and the way they look, and it's oftentimes either an amplified version of themselves to look good, or it's a I was going to say slightly opaque view of you, so you don't see who you really are.
The filtering, yes.
Exactly. And so the thing is, the problem is you go on the first date and you meet somebody the first time doing that, it's all downhill from there. But if you meet on a coffee date first, usually on a coffee date, you're not quite as overly made up, presented, dolled up type things. You can actually meet more relaxed. And the reason I keep saying this is because when you do that, you're more likely to be natural. You're more likely to be real. You're more likely to see the person who they really are. And then you go, oh, okay, great. Versus meet somebody who thinks great because they look good on the billboard, so to speak. But when you see them in real life, you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And generally, I feel, you feel, people we talk to feel, they want a real relationship with a real person.
Yes.
And what I hear often is, I keep seeing if they're real. I go, okay, that's good. Let's be real too. Oh, yeah. That. Oh, which is when you meet the first time, it's normal to be excited and nervous and apprehensive, all that.
Yeah.
It's really normal, human. And if you can acknowledge, I'm a human being being nervous and excited and apprehensive, and wow, if you even were brave enough to say it out loud, gosh, I was really excited to meet a new person. I'm kind of nervous because I'm not good at this always, or I'm new at this, or wow, how are you feeling? I mean, what a human being moment that could be. That
Absolutely.
either the other person thinks that's great that you said it and they open up too, or they're all puffed up about it. Well, now you know that might not be accepting of your real person, because that's who we want. We want somebody that they like us. As I said, I wanted somebody who liked enough my idiosyncrasies and my quirks, because we all have them, and I certainly do.
Oh yeah.
And my husband thought really most of them were quite charming, which was so winning for me.
Oh yeah.
Like I pack a lot of stuff and I pack for 3 days, he said, oh, well, that's kind of cute. I go, well, thanks for thinking it's cute, because I've had other people have lots of complaining words about it. So when you acknowledge who are you really, I think you're also more open to going, well, what would be the real traits I want somebody to have? What are the real ways I want them to act? How do I want them to act with me? So the less you put on, which is so tempting in the beginning.
Of course.
Not only do you not encourage the other person to put on, I find the more real I'm being, the more I recognize when they're not. And the more I recognize when they are. There's not all that static of, did I sit right? Did I say the right? I mean, when I first started dating a really long time ago, I was so nervous the whole time and rethinking everything the whole time and thinking what I did and what am I going to do next? Sometimes I forgot, I didn't pay attention to what they even said the last time.
That's the thing. How much brain capacity do you have to remember both of what you're trying to do and who they are? It's a nightmare.
It's horrible. And that's when people go, it's not fun. I go, well, maybe it's the method that's not fun.
Exactly.
Dating can be super fun,
Yeah.
but not if you do it that way. No, not at all.
Right. And that's the thing is I mean, just looking back at some of my own dating experiences, and I know I guess I shake my head in like, I don't want to say pity is the wrong word, but certainly a sense of empathy and just going, oh, if only I knew better. But back then, of course, that's the whole point of this journey, is knowing more each time you do something. But the thing is, talking, I was actually just shifting slightly, but I want to bring you back to the point. I was talking with my coach this morning. We had an early morning call, and she's with her partner. They've been together 8 years now. And she said it's one of the things they committed to was to be as real with each other as they could, regardless of how it might appear.
Oof.
And they started that way. It wasn't just they decided after a couple of years to not doing that. They decided from the beginning that way. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that what if when you go on a date and you decide, no, you don't say it out loud necessarily, but what if both people chose to be as real and authentic as possible on the first time they meet? So they're not hiding anything. They don't have an agenda. There's no putting on best behavior. You're not putting on a facade. You're just being really transparent in a sense.
Yeah.
And that to me is actually, I mean, I would wish, fingers crossed, that everyone would do that. But of course, that's not the way it is. But the idea about attracting a real relationship is that, first of all, as we're talking now about how you approach it, how you start with it, but also once you're in it, how would you like to be in a real relationship? What would that be like for you as both the person who's being real, but also who's being with somebody else who's real? How does that feel to you? Does that feel does it feel, I mean, because you say you want a real relationship and you want to be a real person, a person who's being real. Are you sure you want that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because that's the thing, when you and I have these conversations with our clients, they're like, oh, I have to talk about that, like openly and honestly. And they have to talk about that openly and honestly. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. No. It's not for the people that aren't committed for this. And there's plenty of people that are in relationships where they're not being real with each other, one or both people. Okay. You and I could never do that in any of our relationships, friendships, love relationships.
So true.
And the people that come to us are the ones who have the brave. I'm going to say it out loud. It's very brave. When you talked about your coach, that's such a brave thing to make a commitment to yourself, say it out loud to the other person, have them make the commitment to, because there's times when it's challenging. I mean, even the conversations I have with women about, it's really important to tell him that, whatever that is. What your preferences in dating, your preference in your physical life. Really? How could I say that? I said, you're considering or already have a loud part of his body inside of your body. I mean,
Right.
how much more intimate physically could you be? I want you to see if it's safe to be intimate emotionally, because that's the epitome of intimacy, that you've allowed this very important part that's an integral part of you. And some things can just be kind of benign. I have a former client they've now been together for 4.5 years, and she is very New York. Oh my God. There is no volume control. It's louder all the time. Just one-on-one conversation. People 3 tables over are going to hear everything she says. It's who she is. And she says, so what do you think? And I said, they just need to know. There's not adjusting. This is who you are. And the guy that she's been with for 4.5 years, every once in a while we're all together, he'll go, oh yeah, those 3 people just got an earful, didn't they? I go, that's the girl you're with. He goes, and I accepted it from the beginning because she told me there's no volume control. She was really upfront about it. I said, just say it out loud. And there were people who didn't like it or were upset about it. Thought they could change, thought they could cajole her or badger. She's not a badgerable person at all. This guy thinks, he says, it's cool because it's so much a part of her. Now, he said out loud in front of her, there's so many things I like even more. I go, that's cool. He said, but it's fine enough. And I said, that's the important thing. You don't have to love every single thing about the other person. It has to be fine enough, good enough, that you can't take this part away because she's fun. She's super fun. And she wants to plan stuff for a whole bunch of, I said, if you took this piece away, I think it would affect this piece.
Yeah,
and you want to have this piece. So it's a package. How can you do with the package? So she was unapologetic about it. She was just concerned about some of the experience she's had during dating. And I said, just say it out loud. I said, loudly say it out loud for you. Because I say things out loud all the time. She really does. And when you say it out loud, people go, oh, okay. How do I feel about that? Because you don't have to guess. You don't have to pry it out of people. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to try to cajole or, it's a waste of energy as far as I'm concerned. There's so many more fun things and challenging things you need to spend your energy on.
Absolutely. I love that. And
Wasn't that a great story?
Yeah. My thing was, if you, if I was to be around something like that, how would I feel? It's like, yeah, that's an ask. I mean, that's the other part too, is knowing for myself what I really want. Are there certain things I could be okay with, even if I didn't necessarily want them as high as other things? And I'm sure with the case with this guy with the New Yorker, that he didn't necessarily put on his list, wants a loud talker as part of his criteria.
Nope.
But so your point is so key and so well taken, and hopefully people listening will get this as well, that when you recognize that there are certain things that you may not love, but you agree to because you enjoy the whole package, and that's part of the package that you say that I said yes to. So it makes it doesn't make it a sticking point. It makes it just another piece of the puzzle. And it's much healthier because, frankly, yes, there's so much that we do when we make our list of what we want to have in a relationship, where we basically make an impossible dream kind of thing. Because there are certain things that are going to be outside the framework of what we really want. Some people say, you need to have a list of what you want. And some people say, you make it really specific. So write 150 things. Others say you can't write more than 5. I sit in the middle of that around for, as many as you need. But the thing is, make sure that your list is essential, just not will be nice to. So I should say, like, make things that are really essential. So things you must have are the minimum ones. Maybe it's being healthy. Maybe it's about being monogamous, those sort of things. But if they leave the toothpaste cap off, can you live with that? If they speak too loud, can you live with that? Too loud for you, or to live
Uh-huh.
or louder than normal. So that's the thing, is about knowing what you want for a real relationship. Know there are things that you may get that may be on the edge of what you must have. So you got to know what those are for yourself before you even go out dating. Frankly, you got to start with a clear list.
Wow. So important. Because
Yeah.
what's funny is we did talk one day. I loved chatting with him. And I didn't ask him that specific question. Was it on your list of things you
Right.
want? And we did talk about if you'd ever thought about it or dated somebody else that was different, did this differently, would you have maybe put it on your list of what you don't want? He goes, yeah, I might have.
Mm-hmm.
But the package, this is the thing, the
Yes.
package, it's so minor compared to everything else.
Right.
Now, you could have a don't want I tell people, not only are you prioritizing them in importance, what's the absolute and what's the least,
Yeah.
how much weight do they carry? Like smoking is really a problem for me because I feel ill.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel immediately. I feel physically ill with cigarette smoke. Pipe
Yeah.
and cigar, not so much. So it's really a pretty heavy duty non-negotiable. And I did talk a number of sessions ago, podcast about my friend who ended up marrying this guy, and he smoked outside and stood at the sliding glass window and then ultimately quit for him. So
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. So, but right now it's something I've asked. So how much, when they say on the dating profile that they occasionally say, well, how much really? Because I can't live with it at all. So that's the things where loud talking, maybe it wouldn't fit for some people. There wouldn't be enough good things.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew it right away because the first time they talked, he learned it right away. And then he kept going, wow, I really like her. And I like her attitude. And I like how she is with other people. And I like all this fun that she brings. And so it was like, yeah, loud talking. Oh, well. And what's really funny is they're part of my widow group now
Mm-hmm.
because they're both widowed. All the couples sit together except them.
Say what?
They sit at opposite ends of the table. So she sits with her loud friends and he sits with his more quiet friends. And it's but they talked about it. This is
Yep.
another thing where you go, I want to go talk to my quiet friends. He talks to the other guys a lot because he doesn't
Right.
get to see them as much because they are bi-coastal couple. So when
Mm-hmm.
he's here, he wants to spend time with the guys. And he goes, I'm going to go sit with them because I need to have a quiet conversation. And she's like, and she never takes offense, and he doesn't mean it as, this is the other way. If you're fine, he's
Yes.
fine
Yep.
with who she is. So he's not putting her down. He's getting his needs met in addition. So this
Mm-hmm.
is the other conversation where people go, they say that out loud. And nobody's upset ever.
Right. Well, that's another piece of the puzzle, which is basically a real relationship is inclusive of like knowing where your foibles are and what things work and where you need to take space and do things for yourself. I was on another call earlier today with another client, and he was on about how he's going through stuff with his wife. They got 2 young babies now, and it's like he's trying to work in his business, but there's 2 young babies. He's trying to do other things, but these 2 babies, it's like they take over the house.
Oh, yeah.
And so he said to his wife, I need to get out. Like, I need to take a weekend away to go to my friend's cabin. Is that okay? And she's like saying, thank God you're going to go do that, because she needed him to go take care of himself, because she can see his stress level building. He's trying to work in his business, which is launching, and he's taking care of the babies with his wife because he loves his wife, loves his babies. So, he's a real proud dad. But he's being torn apart by or should say, he's being overwhelmed by everything he's trying to get done. And so he finally said to his wife, would it be okay? And she said, absolutely, like, go. So having the understanding that you have that space requirement and freedom to understand you can talk about anything with your partner, that to me is a requirement for a real relationship.
Yeah.
Because those real relationships, people say, I want to be in real relationships. Like, can you talk about anything? Oh, no, we can't do that. It's like, you can't? That's such a key. Because a real relationship requires real communication. It requires real presence with each other. So know what you're asking for.
And I love that. And the piece I'm going to address, because that's such an important story, is what's best for me, what's best for the other person, what's best for the relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Yep.
She understands he'll be a better husband, father for her and her children if he goes and does this. She knows he's going to be a better person for him if he goes and does this. She knows when he comes back that the relationship's going to be more healthy. Oh my God. These are two very grown-up people. I am very impressed.
It's amazing how that
Super
works.
grown. There's no 12-year-olds in that household.
No,
at that conversation.
I was really like giving feedback on that. It was just such a good thing to do, because that's the thing, is that a lot of people go into a relationship thinking that they can spend the whole time face to face and never do anything else. Like, not necessarily. And I think a lot of times people actually have relationship issues because they think it's the only way they can be, and when they can't do that because it's not possible, they feel like something wrong with them or the relationship, so they basically quit, or they find excuses to do things different, outside the relationship. So to understand that being real means being transparent, being authentic, so you can communicate, saying if there's something going on. But the key thing is, and this is another part about being in that relationship, is when you have something come up, some issue, some trigger, some upset, is when you are talking to your partner, recognize it's inside of you, not inside of them. Because most people, oftentimes when they say, I've got to talk to you about something because you did this and you made me upset, and you did all the whole thing, projection stuff, and I did a whole thing about that in my book and in my work about that. You're really taking ownership, saying, I'm aware this is what I'm feeling. How are you feeling? Because the thing is, oftentimes it's good to compare notes to see if it's maybe just your own personal chaos you're running, or if it's actually something both of you are discovering and you haven't talked about it. Because when you talk about it and you both realize there's part of it in there, you can say, okay, great. We now understand we both have this question about this piece, how we want to deal with it, how we want to work with it, how do we bring more loving to it? Because again, committed relationship, loving relationship is requiring that you do look at issues as opportunities to do some work that can maybe transform the relationship.
Every time.
Yeah.
Because if you start out being real from the beginning and encourage the other person to be real from the beginning, that's what sets the stage for when stuff comes up. Stuff comes up.
Yeah.
I am very clear that we match up with partners that give us a chance to heal some old stuff. So it's going to come up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then you go, wow, my stuff's coming up. Can I talk to you about my stuff that's coming up? And I'm having a big issue with you about my stuff. I get it. That's my stuff. So I'm paying attention that I have one finger pointing forward and three fingers pointing back. And I just need to talk to you about my stuff. So I'm going to not tell you all the things that are wrong with you. I'm just going to tell you how what you're doing is affecting me, and I'm owning why and how it's affecting me.
Yeah.
That's what really reels somebody in to be in partnership with you, when you can say it that way. Wow, I'm having this challenge, and because we love each other, I really need you on board to help me with this challenge, and I'm going to be here to help you with your challenge. And then you know that each time something comes up, you have this tool. Now, what's really interesting is I love coaching couples, because I have to explain to the women that usually you guys need to go away and think about it and process it. And all we want to do is talk to you about it right now, this minute, because our feelings are going to just explode. And don't you understand that? And if you loved me, you would be on the same page.
Oh, if you love me.
Yeah, we bring out the big guns for that one, right?
Oh, yeah.
You would be right here, right now, and talk to me and listen to me. I don't care that you need space.
Well, the thing is, it's like the underlying statement, the problem is that this happens mostly for women towards men, just to be clear, not saying it's right, but it happens, is that women think, if you love me, you'd read my mind. Yeah. It's like, no, it doesn't happen that way. We talked about this. We talked about in the show many times about the fact that men and women think differently. We said it many times. And how oftentimes for us men, the women need to explain things to us because we don't work on the same frequencies as that. So when a woman's going through this turmoil and upset and distress, and she thinks that we are ignoring them, it's like we're oblivious to it. So it's okay if you let us know, kindly please, that you're feeling something we can respond to.
And acknowledge how differently, when we have these real conversations that you and I are talking about that help you have a real relationship, we come at from different backgrounds, period, different families, different relationships, different personalities that we were born with, different love styles that we were born with. And then I'm going to say it out loud, the traits that generally male people and female people have that are different. And it's been so fun to coach same-sex couples, because one of them typically is more masculine and one's more feminine. And when I say this, they go, yeah, that they do that. And oh yeah, I'm like that, whatever side it is I'm talking about. So to acknowledge women, you can't have it right now, maybe. But ahead of time, before you were upset, you've come to an agreement of, oh, right, you're going to probably need to go away. Could we have like a sign that you're going to leave, and a reassurance, just 3 words, I'll be back. I'll be back. Not sure when, I'll be back. And that when the guy's upset, that we go, oh, okay, I know you need to talk, and I just need the reassurance. And he says, okay, you know I need to go away, and I'm going to do this to tell you I'm going away. That it can't all be your way, either of you. It just can't all the time.
Yeah.
But see, this is when you, what's good for you and what's good for the other person and what's good for the relationship. What's good for the relationship is go complain to a girlfriend, go to complain to a therapist, let him be gone for a bit, because he will come back and you'll get what you need and want, and he'll get what he needs and want. But this is when everybody goes, well, we're supposed to talk about everything right now. Not necessarily. Because we're having a real relationship. Well, part of the reality is he needs to go away for a bit. I mean,
It's the
that's
honoring.
the hard thing when you're like, oh, it's not my reality. It's his reality too. It's her reality too. Yeah. Well,
Key.
It's
funny. I'm realizing we're talking all about the parts of being in a relationship, yet the topic is about dating to attract the real relationship.
Believing this, own this. Yeah. Who are you when you're being your real self? When have you not? I mean, I've told stories about when I was being my real self, but not my very nice real self. But I was being really real that day when I screamed and yelled at my husband. I was really upset. So who are you when you're being your real self? Who are you when you're being happy, when you're sad, when you're mad, when you're tired, when you're pensive? Honor who you are. Figure out who you are. And then what things do you need somebody to be real about? Like when we talked about my friend, maybe Barry wouldn't like somebody who talks loud or louder all the time, because that's who you really are. You're somebody that would like a little more quiet and more personal conversation, and you don't want the people at 3 tables over to hear everything that's happening when you're talking. You know, that's so real if you admit that about who you are. I mean, it was scary that when I admitted to my husband that he was going to need to practice saying, gosh, you didn't bring very many things the first time we went away for a 3-day vacation, and the back of my SUV was filled with stuff for 3 days on a cruise. And so I warned him ahead of time, because I said, oh, you know, I've had people get mad at me and have a lot of words about it. So I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. And you can say, don't come. I mean, that was an option, but he said, no, that wasn't an option for him. Right. But these are the words you're going to need to use. And I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Just gulp and say, and he gulped and he said them. I was very proud of him, but he gulped. But I told him, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what makes me feel comfortable and happy. I hope you're going to be okay with it. And he was fine. And then he was so prepared for when we went on a 2-week vacation overseas. Oh my God, you have no idea the stuff I bring. And he was fine. By then he was fine. I mean, we'd been married for a little while, and he's like, oh, this is what Christine does, and it makes her happy, and she's not going to be crabby and miss her stuff. So have at it.
Totally
Let's check off your packing list, since I have a 2-page packing list, you know.
Bring the house.
Oh, I'm hysterical. Traveling. I have such packing angst. To this day, I just do. But it's who I am. And I tell people this is who I am. And if you have a problem with it, it's okay. We just won't go anywhere together.
Right.
Oh, we fine with a comment. We love, people are going to make a comment. I'm excited.
We got comments. Interesting.
I love comments. Yes. I'm in a relationship for 11 years. I had a tragic industrial accident in 2015, and now I'm disabled. It caused tension between the two of us financially, and she wants to end the relationship. I have a hard time dealing with it. So the relationship is ending. You're devastated. Oh, Sean, awful. I'm so sorry. So, gosh, Barry, you're a guy. I'm happy to give an answer, but I think he would probably love to hear from a guy too.
Well, the thing, it's an interesting question, because it's funny. Sidebar slightly. If you haven't seen the show, it was on Apple Plus. called Still, which is a story about oh, his name went out of my head. Damn, the actor who has Parkinson's.
Oh, Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Thank you. It went out of my head for a second. So watching that and watching him with his wife, the comment that was made in the movie about in sickness and in health. In a relationship, some people, and Sean said he's in a relationship, but I didn't say he was married. So in a marriage, I'm going to put this on the preface first before I come back to it. So Sean, don't go away. I'll be back to you. There is this words that people use it often in a traditional marriage, of saying, in sickness and in health, through richer and poorer, until death do us part, that many people don't take seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it they do, some of it they don't. But that's the thing, is that's a key thing. Now, to go into a relationship where there isn't that necessarily that legal binding commitment type thing, is that there's going to be points in the relationship where there's going to be stress put on it.
Yep.
And what happened apparently is several years ago, being handicapped put a lot of stress on her feelings of the relationship. There's no fault here. First, I want to make this clear. There's no fault on either side, because first of all, you had an accident and she may not have been prepared for what happened. The ending of the relationship may have been unavoidable, to be honest. And there's not necessarily anything you may have been able to do, except having a miracle of walking again, which is not what part of the conversation here, where she would have changed her mind. So the best thing I can say is to really start putting love into yourself, because the pain you may be feeling, which is emotional from what's happening in the relationship, is going to affect your physical health too.
Yeah.
What's happening, and maybe if she's interested enough, because if she's interested enough that you want to go to therapy together, that's worth doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it's clear she's done and you have no word changing it, you can't force her to stay, and that's unfortunate. But I understand how you feel. I feel for you going through that journey and having that unfortunate accident that caused this situation. If this is the end, don't give up hope for a healthy relationship, for a relationship you want to be in. But take care of yourself first. Always. One of my cardinal rules is always take care of yourself first, if you're single or in a relationship.
You're welcome. Yes. Oh my gosh, so hard. I think of the losses you already had of your mobility and your financial security. Personally, as a man, being able to protect and provide for your woman is huge to men, and that was taken away or limited hugely. So already you'd had a really hard loss before this. And because we women like the protect and provide part, when it leaves, we don't always have the tools to adjust to he's still there. He's still my man. He would still do whatever he could to protect and provide for me. That she can't shore herself up enough. And tragedy is either makes or breaks a relationship, married or not. I mean, I've talked about how I'm part of a special needs volunteer place, and the majority of people get divorced because they have a special need child. And the ones that are together are so solid. So I love Barry's advice of taking care of yourself. And one of the things too, that when Barry mentioned about maybe going to therapy, even if it can't repair your relationship, I've talked to people that ended up, their relationship ended, but it ended up on a much more positive note, where everybody's not resentful and hating each other and walking away with this stone heart. Because if either of you hope to find love again, that starts you out as a negative. If both people or one of you is angry and hurt and I'm never going to do that again and I feel so betrayed, to go work with somebody that could help both of you leave in the most loving manner, that I can't get over this. I can't get over that you can't be the man you were before. It's who I married. Sadly, not everyone can do it. Some people can. That at least the two of you could part with, okay, I accept that. Sucks, but I accept that. And to wish each other well instead of the rancor that often happens with people splitting up. So
Yeah.
I love your advice, Barry, to seek some professional help, certainly for you. And what happens with people with me often, because every once in a while a couple will come to me, but usually it's one or the other.
Hmm.
Like the one I was talking about is the guy.
Yeah.
And then as you start working on yourself, sometimes the other person will come, whether it's to help end the relationship on a better note or to go, wow, I think I want to come help you. That's usually the enticement that gets them in. And then they'll start working on themselves. So
Right.
either way, I hope that you go see somebody that can, a therapist or a coach or psychologist, somebody that can help you personally make peace with where you are right now. And I don't, after 215, maybe there's no more that can happen, but something that could help you feel more financially solvent, more have a purpose back in life, because part of your purpose is going to leave if she does. And that's horrible and sad. So what do we do to fill in, not replace, but fill in some of that empty place in your life? Because
Yeah.
yes, you don't want to keep deteriorating emotionally, because that's just going to be hard on your physicality too. What a good question. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'm sure there are other people that are listening or will listen to this that have some similar things coming up, and it was very brave and open and real of you to have that conversation with us. Thank you for allowing us to
Thank
help
you,
you.
John.
Hope it's helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, my heart goes out to him. You
Yeah.
never know what's going on in other people's lives, right? I've been going to therapy for the last 3 years. She doesn't want to show up. Tells me a lot. Yeah, you were never married. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only way I usually can get people to come as the other person is, I need your help. I want you to give your side. I want you to talk about what's been going on for you. Never with anything that's wrong with them or fixing them. That doesn't entice. If the purpose is to get them to come, we never
Right.
say that. We always say, the therapist wants to get your perspective because it will be helpful for me. And if you haven't tried that, if the therapist in 3 years hasn't suggested that, you might bring it up. You might, because even if it doesn't bring her back, because I am never using that as the reason to bring them back. Think of what you might learn from her perspective in a way when she's not yelling and crying and so upset, that you might get some more real feedback. Who knows?
Hmm.
Couldn't hurt.
And also, just one more piece on that too. If she has no opening whatsoever for therapy, and you, I mean, I'm going to say it this way, but understand it. It's like you may be better off without her,
Oh yeah.
because the thing is that because she, and it's hard to say it this way, and I want to be clear that I'm saying this from point of view of observation, not as a judgment in either way. But if she's not willing to be with you through this journey, because I presume for you there is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. You have in plans to do things to make things different, to not spend your life the way you are at the moment, but to change along the way. If she's not in for the long haul, she may in fact be making way for somebody who is.
Yeah.
So I want to give that as something to think about, and maybe hold as a vision in your heart, because yes, you've been together for a long time. However, it may have been the placeholder relationship ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening now for
Mm-hmm.
something that's going to be much more holistic and healthy for you going forward. I don't know. I'm just offering the suggestion as a possibility you might want to hold on to.
I have a client that just got engaged to a man in a wheelchair.
Hmm.
He was in a wheelchair when they first started dating. He said it out loud, had lots of people. He said, if you have a problem, it's fine. I don't take offense, but this is who I am. And
Yeah.
she was like, well, I could have coffee. And then it was dinner. And she goes, he's the most interesting man. And he's so good at communicating. And I get so many of my needs met. They're getting married. So
I have. Yeah.
we say there's a pot for every lid. Don't give up.
And
Please don't.
I know a couple where she's in a wheelchair and he's been with her since the get go. I know a couple who were married before she got into a wheelchair, and she's a skier, and he's actually her coach, and they're more in love now than they were before. And she's been in a wheelchair for 15 years now. So there are definitely relationships where either it happens during the relationship or it happens before it starts. So anybody listening inclusively is that a physical handicap is just a physical handicap. It's not a make or break for a relationship. So make sure
And I
people.
love that you said out loud, they're even more in love,
Yeah.
because that somebody stays, that somebody slogs through this really hard thing that you're going through. How much more loving could they be? How much
And
more loved could you feel?
that's the thing is, they weren't doing it out of duty or out of
Mhm.
like trying to get something, done. It's like, no, they were there because they love the person. And the way they, I mean, the sense of humor actually cracks me up there. It's so funny together because they mess with each other. And
Uh-huh.
it's because the thing is, they're recognizing that the physical challenge that she has being in a wheelchair is not part of who the relationship really is ultimately. I mean, it's part of it physically,
Yeah.
but doesn't change their hearts, how they are together. So yeah. Anyway, so let's I want to get back on track before we end the
Yeah.
episode
Well,
about
that
how
was so touching.
well, I just want to say that because yeah, we know only start closing the show. So let's not get so deep into this.
He's going to say close the show, but we don't ever care.
No, but I want to say this: dating to attract a real relationship. Let's get back to the dating piece for a second.
Yeah.
Dating to attract a real relationship. We said it earlier a couple of times, but I want to reinforce this point: is if you want to be in a real relationship, as in a relationship with a real person that's being real, being authentic, being true, you got to start that way in your life. First of all, so start by being real in your own life. When you look in the mirror, do you see a real person? Meaning, are you being transparent, being authentic, being in integrity, being aligned, being real on all those levels? Second piece is if you want to date to attract a real relationship, maybe you want to pull back on the dating in the first place. Because you might be dating to date, to go out people till you find the right one. I strongly suggest, and that's what I do with my clients all the time, is to withdraw from the dating apps and the dating sites and all the dating opportunities and spend time with yourself and start getting clear on what you really want, the qualities you want in a real relationship, the embodiment of what you want to have when you're with that person, how the relationship's going to feel. So that when you start going out on dates again, you carry one, a sense of what you know it's going to be like, so you resonate with it. And two, you might start attracting in people that fit that paradigm. So start there.
And do things that are helping you get to know yourself better that don't have anything to do with dating. That's what I tell people. Volunteering, good for your heart. Take a class, learn something new, learn more about what it is. Do something that's going to fill you up, that's going to emphasize even more of the reality. I love to learn, or I love to volunteer, or I love being outdoors, or I love the environment. Go do that. To go, I think I like this. Oh yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, it turns out it's not me. I mean, that's how you get to know the real person, right? Is go do things that you think are interesting, that you think you would like. And it just fills you up being real, right?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, like one of the things I started doing, and this thanks to the lockdown, frankly, it didn't happen before this, but was I started going out to go hiking. I went once in a blue moon, once in a now every morning go local hills. I mean, it's not like hiking them, the trails up in the mountains, but the local hills that get good trails. I did that because it was something that, for me, just made my day work better. And I do it first thing in the morning, so it's done before I can get, before 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm already done. But to find someone meet somebody on the trails, that would be cool. But it's also because that's where I love to be. It's one of the things I enjoy a lot. And it is a slog and it is good exercise and it gets my lungs breathing and everything else. But it's the thing that I choose, I do for myself. And so that was something I learned about myself I didn't have before. So if you're watching this and you're not sure what fills you up, you don't know yet. Get out and do new things. You never know what's going to fill you up and make you feel more alive, more real, more authentic.
Go out and test things like you did. And I love your pictures every day. They're so beautiful. All the cute animals. You see lots of animals on your walk.
The squirrels.
And an LA weather report from Barry about how's the weather in LA today. It's cloudy, it's sunny, it's foggy.
Yeah. So there.
So if you want to learn how to be even more real so that you can eventually attract another real person, because that's the thing I hear, they're not real people. Well, how real are you being, right? That's such a good question to ask yourself.
Right.
So I'd be happy to help you. You could find me through my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. You can sign up for my newsletter and you'll receive copies of this podcast. You'll also have an opportunity to sign up for a complimentary conversation with me by clicking on what's holding you back from love. And then you'll have access to my calendar to make an appointment with me. You can also send me a personal email at christine@theperfectcatch.com. You can also join me on social media on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Pinterest. And then on YouTube, where you can see these replays of these podcasts, and some I've done on my own and some I did with another person, on YouTube at Coach Christine Baumgartner. And then on, what's the other one? Instagram. I'm at Coach Christine Baumgartner. I know. The complicated person that packs for 3 days gets to go first always. And then the uncomplicated person gets to go second.
Thank you. So the way you can reach me, and also I can want to get some help, you can reach out to me as well. My website is my name. In fact, all my social media is my name, except for one, which I'll get to. My website is barryselby.com. So you can go to check out my website there. I just saw a preview of my website's getting redeveloped, but I saw the preview of my new homepage and it looks really nice. But even so, you still get to my website once it's in construction. On the homepage of the site, which is again barryselby.com, on the top of the screen, you can click on the button that says "Take your first step," and you can invest in a mini session with me, so we can actually do some coaching right off the bat and see where you are and where you want to go, and if I can help you, and if you want to work together. So that's a really good test drive. At the bottom of the homepage, there is a little link you can join my email list where you get notifications every week, or an email every week rather, from me, an email, which includes replays with this podcast, amongst other things and things I'm offering. There's other things on my website which you have to go. Let's just leave it like that, because my website doesn't have links to other parts of my website at the moment. It's under construction. Trust me, you'll be great soon. In the meantime, you can find me on social media. So again, all my social media is my name except for Instagram, which is the real Barry Selby. So it's Barry Selby on YouTube, where all these videos get stored. And I've got about another 1,000 videos on top of this that I've done separately. So you got a lot of content to watch on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. So Barry Selby on YouTube. Also on Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and then on Instagram, as said, it's the real Barry Selby. But you can find us everywhere. We are prolific in our videos, in our talks, and definitely you find us. And again, sorry, I forgot to say this. We're also on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, and basically wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find this show. Let's Talk Dating. Let's Talk Dating. So
you can take us on your walks and on your drive.
Yes.
You can listen to it all the time. How fun is that?
Please subscribe to our podcast as well.
Yeah. And I've decided I'm not complicated. I just have lots of accessories. I like accessories. I'm going to start doing that instead.
That is extremely true. So it's a good choice to claim that.
I think so. Yes. One of my earrings just fell off in the middle. So we're always here every Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern, and all the times in between. And as lovely Sean did today, we love your comments and your questions. Please, if you're watching this at another time, not live, please send us comments and questions. We read them. If you have a subject you want us to be sure to cover, please give us that as well, because we love your engagement. We want to see, are we being helpful? Is this interesting? Is it something that's pertinent to you? Is there something else you'd want to know about? Mm-hmm. We're open to suggestions all the time.
Indeed we are. So look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you for joining us as always.
Yes, we really appreciate it. Bye for now.
See ya.